Hey everyone, Dan at Bushcraft. Well, if you spend much time in the woods and carry a survival kit or a bushcraft kit with you, you know that a poncho is an absolute essential piece of gear. You know, some kind of a small tarp or poncho, but the cool thing about a poncho is if it starts raining when you're away from camp, you're fishing, whatever, hiking, you throw your poncho over yourself, your pack, and you get back to camp nice and dry. Also, it sets up as a great makeshift shelter, great little tarp setup. A-frames are real popular. The plow point is real popular. This is a variation of the A-frame that I want to show you guys. And we'll take this down and set it up. You can do this in 3 different ways. You can do it off of a pole. So I just lashed one end of a pole to a tree, and the other end I found a forked stick and leaned it up against the tree and just kind of wedged the pole down into the fork. You could also use a ridge line. I carry a ridge line in my kit, and I could run a ridge line between 2 trees. The coolest way to do it is if you can find a tree with a low, long limb. A lot of the fir trees out here are like that. And you can crawl up underneath the fir tree and just attach your poncho to that limb. So let me kind of give you guys a rundown real quick on this, and then we'll tear it down and just put it back up so you can see how to do it. All right, the front end back here is set up just like you would an A-frame, where you open it up. The difference is rather than having the back end also open, so maybe you have a draft of cold air coming in both ends, you put the back end down on the ground. So like again, off of a ridge line or a limb or this pole, your front end is tied up into an A, and then you take your hood, and I just used the cord that's on my hood and tied my hood off at the second point. So it's running along this pole like an A-frame would. The difference being, whereas this back grommet would be up here, it's now pulled out as far as I can get it and staked down, and then the corners are also staked down. So now I only have airflow from one direction, the front, and I can block that off by, putting my pack or some brush in front of me, crawl in here. I've got more foot room to spread my legs out and to pack some stuff in behind me if I need to. So let me show you guys from the front, and we'll tear it down. So there's not a lot of room height-wise in a poncho shelter, more in an more in a plow point, but in an A-frame style, if you want some width to be able to spread out a little bit, you're not going to have a lot of height. But again, the cool thing about this is with the back down, I can spread my feet out, and there's no cold air coming in from that end. That end is shut off from the cold air. So again, you want to start out with a ridge line, a pole that you've put between 2 trees, or again, best case scenario is you find a tree with a low branch sticking out, and then you can just attach your poncho to that. So I've got my poncho laid out underneath this, and lengthways running parallel to the pole. Widthways is this way. And I'm just using, I happen to be lucky enough to have a little knot right here, so I'm just going to use a overhand knot to tie that up tight. And that's all I need. That's going to hold that plenty tight enough. Now, if I was using a ridge line, I would most likely use like a trucker's hitch, or I would tie this at an angle out to the tree and pull it back the same way that you would if you were tying off a plow point and pull that down. So this works perfect. Then I'm going to stake down the front corners, and I've got some small stakes with me. Make your own, whatever. I like to put shot cord in mine, so these come with just like a regular cord. I remove that and put in shot cord. It's just easier to work with if I want to raise my tarp up a little bit, my poncho up, or whatever. So we'll go ahead and put some stakes in. Just put it through the grommet, your shot cord, fasten it around the little hooks, like so, and then just take that in, tap it in tight. And let me get the other side. Next thing will be to just tie your hood up. Again, if you had a ridge line, you could use this cord and tie it up to the ridge line, or you could maybe run a trucker's hitch down and around. But I've got the hood twisted and tied off with the cord. So I am just going to wrap the cord around here a couple times. Maybe another overhand knot, or double that over. All right. Okay, I actually loosened the front tent stakes so I could pull this part back tight. I should have done that first. I was paying more attention to the camera than what I was doing, but it's actually easier if you tie off your front and then pull your hood back tight so the top of your poncho is nice and secure. Tie that off, then go back and stake down the front corners. Then come back and stake down the back, starting with the middle. So I'm going to take the middle and I'm going to stake it down as far back as I can stretch it, which is almost to this tree. And then pull my corners out and do the same. And get the back corner. And once again, we have our poncho shelter. Much like an A-frame, but we got that back end drop down. We can spread our feet out. Show you how wide that is back here. So we got lots of room inside to spread my feet out, and no cold air is going to come in and get them. And then I can just throw pine needles over the top of the edges all the way around. There it is, guys. Just another option, another tool in the toolbox. You know, the plow point is super quick and easy. I really like using the plow point if I can get up underneath some fir boughs or something. A-frame is an option. But when I want to do something where I want to be more secured from the wind and the rain, I really like this modified A-frame setup with the back drop down and stake down. Now, if you're looking for a good poncho, this one is USGI Industries. They're on Amazon for about 45 bucks in a variety of colors. So you got lots of options, from something that's bright colored. Maybe you want to have a poncho that you can use to aid in rescue if you're lost or something. So you might want something in bright orange or, you know, yellow that can be seen from above. Or like me, you want to blend in more. There's woodland camo and multicam and other options. And of course it comes with a nice little pouch which fits perfect down in my shoulder bag. So there it is, guys. And if you're not carrying a poncho as part of your kit, you might consider one. Take care, everybody, and stay safe out there.